gentle reminder, guys, about the deadline to post companies in our G sheet. Okay, ito guys, sorry, group 1 I may request you to please, kung pwede, kasi ito medyo liquor, no? So as much as possible, we don't want to be reviewing mga liquor companies, no? Kung pwede, if we can change this, kasi I'm sure none of you will really appreciate yung yung kung bakit napapatronize yung mga whiskey, yung mga ano. So might as well focus on products or companies that medyo ma-appreciate nyo. Emperador, I don't think any one of you drinks this. Okay, Boulevard Holdings, Discovery World, real estate to, no? Okay, thank you group 1. No? Okay, SM Robinsons, McDonald's. I'm not sure guys kung McDonald's Philippines, no? So tingnan nyo to guys, yung McDonald's Philippines kung pwede to, no? But they are direct competitors. URC and Monde, okay? Megworld and DMCI, okay? But make sure guys to already download the FS. Tapos pwede nyo pa naman palitan to. Just make sure that walang tinatamaan na ibang companies. Tapos dapat yung medyo kaya nyo intindihin. No? Kasi may mga companies na mahirap i-explain yung FS nila. So might as well just focus on companies that are manufacturing kasi mas madadali. Okay? And then also mga service din. Pero wag yung mga service na financial services kasi mahirap i-explain yung mga banks, yung mga insurance, ang dami mga mga accounts na so very difficult to explain. Okay. So let's go guys to deadline ito guys tomorrow at 12 noon. Okay, let's go now to yung exercise natin, no? Okay, so question number 8. Okay, let's have a quick review of this. So question number 8, what was asked? We were given the information that we have two firms, company A, company B. Okay, both would like to borrow 100 million, okay, in the form of bonds. So utang yun, long-term na utang. Pareho silang 100 million. And then parehong tigta 10 years yung term ng loan. Ibig sabihin, every year, magbabayad sila ng interest. And then at the end of the term, 10 years, magbabayad sila ng interest plus the principal. One company issued a 7% 10-year bond, while another company issued an 8% 10-year bond. The question was, which company issued which? So the answer, as we said, is company B, okay, issued the 8% bond. Bakit? Okay, we'll look at the answer in question number 9. Okay, so si company 8, ang company B ang nag-issue ng 8% bond. Company A is well established, matagal na siya sa industry. Company B is a relatively newcomer. Okay, so wala pa siya masyadong track record. Si company A, kumbaga, yung solid na yung track record nito. Kilala na good payer and okay yung performance ng firm. So capable siya na mag-bayad on time at saka capable siya na bayaran yung interest, both the interest and the principal. Okay, so as to the question, why? No? Explain. Tingnan natin to ha. Since firm B is relatively new, ganito na lang gawin ko. Either I increase this, F2. Okay, since firm B is relatively new, the company issued the 8%. The reasoning behind this is that relatively new siya, the 8% is a strategic move so that investors are captivated to go to firm B. Okay, in a sense guys, tama naman yan. Captivated yung mga investors para dun sa kanya mag-invest. Pero hindi natin na dito yung pinaka-point ng yung aspect ng captivation. So what was it, guys? Why are the investors potentially captivated. Okay, so tingnan natin to. 8% relatively new company. Ay, issued the 8% strategic move. Ito, needs to develop strategies in order to attract new investors, but couldn't take too much of a risk, thus purposely elevating their bond just by 1%. Okay, although dito na-mention naman yung too much risk, new investors that couldn't take too much risk, thus purposely elevating their bond just by 1%. Okay, the idea is there. However, guys, ito medyo malito, no? Couldn't take too much of a risk. In fact, mas risky, no? Mas risky yung pag-i-invest sa company B. Okay? That's why they elevated at 8%. Mas risky, guys, no? Yung pag ano sa firm B, kaya nga they increased there was a premium, no? May premium sila na binigay dun sa interest rate. Kasi ang principle natin dito, guys, is the principle of risk and return. The higher the assumed risk, the higher is the required return. So since company B, firm B is newer, okay, so kung mag-i-invest tayo, guys, kanino tayo mag-a-assume ng greater amount of risk? Definitely si company B kasi mas bago siya. Si company A, ano na yun, solid na, no? Matagal na siya dun sa industry, kilala na siya, good performer siya. So we will be assuming a greater amount of risk if we invest in company B. So because of the greater amount of risk, there should be, investors should be compensated for the higher amount of risk that they're taking. Okay? So dito, in order to attract new investors but couldn't take too much of a risk. So dito, hindi lang siguro maganda yung pagkasabi dito, no? But I think I know what you're saying. The way to say it is that investing in company B would require a greater amount of risk. Hence, consistent with the principle of risk and return, investors should be compensated for the additional risk that they're assuming by investing in company B. No? Okay, company A is well established. Good credit standing allows it to issue the bond at 7%. Okay, hindi din dito na measure yung ano. Tama naman to, lacks credit score and reputation. Tama ito. Kaso hindi na mention dito yung word na hinahanap natin, yung higher risk, higher return. But anyway, I gave you points for this, guys. No? Ito naman, well established, good reputation, lower interest rate. Rather than issue higher interest rate, but is relatively new in the market. For firm B, since they are relatively new, issuing high interest rate will attract creditors, which will help them also build their reputation. Okay. Again, na-miss out dito yung concept ng risk and return. Okay, although some of the statements naman here are correct, no? Yung attracting in creditors to invest in them rather than companies that issue higher interest rate. Okay, ito mukhang issuing a lower interest rate will still attract them kasi because they have good reputation. Okay? So si firm B dito relatively new, issuing higher will attract creditors. So what's missing here is the mention of yung principle ng risk and return natin. But the idea is there. Okay, we opted for firm B. Ito na lang. Newer company siya. They need to raise more capital in order to grow, hence issuing a bond at a higher rate is much more logical compared to issuing a bond with a lower rate. Again, guys, na-miss out dito yung yung concept ng yung it follows, guys, kasi kung mas mataas yung risk, mas mataas dapat yung required return. Dun ang gagaling yung logic nun, no? It emanates from that logic. This one, firm B, a relatively higher interest rate, newer firm. A newer firm is more enticing to potential investors since there are less investors with stakes with the firm. Higher risk also entails higher rewards. Yan, okay, ito yun, guys, ito. The higher risk entails the higher rewards for the investors. So if you got this concept, guys, I gave you full credit, but if not, may -1 lang. If firm B does well, a newer firm needs to more financing. Okay, ito not necessarily true, guys, no? Yung newer firm needs more financing kasi baka yung investors yan, yung sinetap ng company yan, baka malalaking companies, no? Tapos nagput na sila ng malaking capital. Okay, so we can never really tell. But generally, this might be true. Newer companies will need more financing unless, guys, na yung initial investment na pinasok ng mga shareholders nun, malaki na. No? But generally, we can accept this statement during its early stages. Okay, then this one, the group firm A has 8% because investors' point of view. Dapat, guys, tama because in the investor's point of view. Pero mukhang nabaliktad to, no? Well established na and good credit standing. This means that investors will be more comfortable with firm A even though it's an 8% bond. Okay, mukhang na-confuse yung concept dito. Ang bond kasi, guys, pag sinabing nag-issue yung company ng bonds, nangutang sila. So yung percent na yan, interest rate yan na babayaran nila. So even though it is an 8% bond and know that they will pay the bond back due to its recognition. So all the more, guys, walang mag-i-invest kay walang mag-i-invest kay company B yan, no? Kay firm B. If it was firm A that issued the 8% bond, dapat si firm B dapat mas malaki sa 8%. Okay? So that's the bottom line there. So sinabi kasi 7% at saka 8%. So isa doon, yung higher interest rate na yun, 8%, that was issued by the riskier company, which is company B. Okay, I hope that's clear. And then, okay, si firm B daw yung 8%, relatively new si firm B, creditors still have to, still have least information, okay? Most creditors will still be hesitating, okay? Making it hard for firm B to collect the intended investments. Issuing a higher interest rate would be the solution to captivate. Okay, this says it correctly. Okay, kaso nga lang hindi nasabi yung yung risk, no? Risk and return. But the idea is there. The idea is okay. Para nga entice yung investors to invest in company B. Okay, and because it springs from the principle that the higher the assumed risk, the higher is the required return. Okay? All right. So let's go to the next question. Okay? Ano daw yung mga ito yung mga yung mga 10,000 sa year 0, which means ngayon. Tapos 1,000 54411 for years 1 up to 5. Okay? So ang tanong dito, ano ba yung mga values na yan? The answer is those values are the okay, let's look at the answers. Okay. The values are cash inflows. Okay, that's correct, no? Cash inflows. Ito, cash inflows din. Okay, ito sinagot na, no? Yung number 10 to eh. Pero cash flows pa rin. So tama na cash flows. Cash flows. This one is cash flows. Okay? Cash flows siya. Cash flows. Okay, I think all of you got this. Okay, ito pala, no? 10,000. Ito hindi nabanggit yung Okay, dito ang binanggit profits. Okay, so these are not profits, guys. These are cash flows. Okay? So cash flows dapat siya. Ito naman, cash inflows and cash outflows. Okay, so almost all of you got it, no? May isa lang na hindi nabanggit yung cash flow, but still you got a partial credit for that. Okay. So titingnan natin yung mga answers yun sa question number 10. Should you invest in that based on this okay, based on this cash flows, no? Dapat ba invest dito? So tingnan natin yung mga answers nyo. Okay, dito ang una sabi, is good daw, no? Year 1 to 5 cash inflow, good investment. One may speculate that the cash flow from year to 5, okay. So ito sinasabi, decreasing cash flow. Steadily coming in, okay? Initial investment has already been earned, making the project viable. Okay, so ang sinasabi dito guys, so nagsabi sila na na na-recover yung na-recover yung initial investment. Okay, tapos na-recover yung initial investment within 2.5 years. Doable because first we consider sorry, sa iba pala yun. Okay, so this is the answer of group 1. No? So ilagay lang natin dito ang pinaka-idea dito. Cash flow is steadily coming in. Tapos, na-earn na yung the initial investment has been earned. So, lagay natin dito Okay. Where's my pen? Recovery. Na-recover na yung or earned yung initial investment. So based on that group, sabi nila, okay to proceed with the project, no? Another group says that it's good because cash inflow, tapos nag-earn ng 50% profit. Okay. Okay, so good then. Third, this other group, sabi, marirecover yung investment. Okay. Okay, so lagyan natin dito. Pareho ng plano recovery. Lalagay ko lang dito, may nabanggit dun sa unang group kanina, yung decreasing, no? Despite, no? So this is being treated as a negative thing, decreasing cash flow. Kasi nga naman, pababa, di ba? 5, 4, 4, 4, 1, 1. Bumababa yung cash flow. No? So I think it was the first line doon nagsabi na hindi to guys, hindi to group 1, group 2, group 3, hindi, no? This is based on kung sino yung unang nag-submit, no? Na-collect ni Google. Okay, so next group, ano sabi dito? Yes. No. May no naman dito. Ayun, decreasing in value. Not a profitable investment. Okay, so dito sa group na to, sinasabi na explicitly na bumababa yung cash flow. No? So, it's not an attractive investment. Okay? And then, ito, okay, pareho lang guys. No? Okay, declining din to. The group to invest in the project kasi marirecover in 2.5 years. Tapos may positive cash flow pa in the following years. Still risky as the cash flow is not stable, no? Rather than, again, na-mention yung decreasing. May nag-chat ba? Okay, sandali May nag-comment dito. Ito ba yun? Sandali lang. Let me just look at this. Ito ba yun? Cash inflows and cash outflows, number 9. Okay, I don't know what group this is, So I'm going to see, Ivan, yung question mo. I'll take note of this. Pero itong if whoever this group is, guys, ito, hindi nabanggit na cash flows yun. Yun kasi tinatanong natin. Then, if in this case, walang mention ng cash flows. That's what I was looking for. Okay. Okay. For as long as nakita ko yung cash flows doon, okay yung answer na yun. May minimal lang naman na minus kung hindi na mention yung cash flows. All right. So dito declining returns din, no? Number 9. So ito yung number 9 yung tininan ko kanina. Okay. So tas dito 2.5 years nga, no? Tapos still risky. This is still risky as the cash flow for the project is not stable and decreasing. Okay, so many of you commented on that. That's good, guys. Napansin nyo yung nagde-decrease, no? Ito naman, ang sinabi dito, okay, wala daw consideration of depreciation. Profit of 5,000. Okay, so actually, guys, hindi profit yan, ha? It's a net cash flow of 5,000. Increased revenue of 1,000 annually. Increased revenue. Okay, after 5 years is already na-recover na. ROI is net. Okay, again guys, hindi siya net profit. Cash flow itong tinitingnan natin. Profitable. Okay, so nabanggit nila na 50% returns. 50% mathematically yung returns ng project. Although nabanggit din yung decreasing yung yung cash flow. Okay, so very consistent guys yung Okay, let's go here. Very consistent yung Okay, some of you answered yes. Okay, yung investment, some of you did not, no? Sabi, so very consistent on decreasing. Tapos may nag-mention ng 2.5 years. Yung na-recover na yung investment. Okay. So let's discuss that. Okay? Ano nga ba yung magiging natin dito? How do we assess if this investment is feasible or not, is viable or not? Okay. Tingnan muna natin yung sinabi ng iba. Okay, nabanggit din pala yung 5,000 net cash flow. Nabanggit din yung ROI na 50%. Okay? So those were the reasons that you were mentioning kung bakit okay yung project, no? Okay, for some, sabi nila not okay kasi nagdi-decrease yung yung cash flow. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So tingnan mo natin tong 5,000. Saan galing yun? Okay, so that came from this one. If we add everything, so initial investment natin 10,000. Okay, so dapat cash flows lahat to guys, ha? This should be all cash flows. Pag net income after tax yan, hindi natin pwedeng i-analyze yan. Kailangan i-convert muna siya into cash flows. So i-sum up natin to. So this was what some of you were saying. 15,000 yung positive cash inflow, 10,000 yung cash outflow. So if we get the sum of that, you have this net cash flow of 5,000, which is good. No? So some of you were saying na dapat mag-invest kasi na-recover naman yung Okay? So ito nasabi na another reason guys, na-recover naman yung investment natin na 10,000. 15,000 yung nakuha, no? So na may excess pa na 5,000. Tapos may isang group nagsabi sa inyo na na-recover yung investment in 2.5 years. So paano niya nakuha yon? Kasi ito 10,000 yung initial investment. Tapos 5 sa first year, 4 sa second year, tapos sa third year guys, 4,000 ulit, no? So that means 13,000 na. Sa third year, 13,000 na recover natin. So lampas na siya dun sa initial investment. So it's between the second and the third year, okay? It's between year 2 and year 3 where we have what we call the payback period. Okay, we call that payback period. Okay, dali. Ito isusulat. We call it payback period, no? Payback period. And it's computed to be, sa isang group, it's 2.5 years, no? So they assume that sa kalahating taon, marirecover na yung initial investment na 10,000. Okay? In fact, by the third year, after the third year, sobra-sobra na. Okay? Okay, so ito naman ang sabi, may ROI daw, no? May ROI na 50%. Saan ang galing to? So 5,000, okay, yung net cash flow natin, and then dinivide nila ng 10,000. No? So that's equal to 5,000 divided by this one, but we have to put negative here. I-negative natin to kasi naka-negative itong ano 10,000 natin para maging positive yung answer natin. Okay. So it should be home percentage. Okay, 50%, guys. Alam naman natin na 5,000 divided by 10,000. That's a 50% return. Return on the cash flow that the company invested in. Okay, so divided yung house, no? So iba sa inyo, yung ibang group sabi, do not invest kasi nagdi-decrease yung cash flow, tapos yung nature niya, kaya yung medyo risky siya. Okay? Yung iba naman sa inyo sabi, yung net cash flow naman positive eh. So 15,000 yung positive inflow, cash inflow, tapos 10,000 yung outflow. So mas malaki yung yung inflow, no? So proceed with the project. Okay yung project. Okay? So yun yung sinasabi ng recovery, na-recover yung initial investment. So may conflict tayo, guys, no? Kasi yung iba sabi ayaw, yung iba gusto, no? Okay. Now, first let me attack this reason na 5,000 yung ano yung net natin na recover natin. Mathematically that might be okay, guys. Mathematically that seems to be okay. Kasi inad natin tong 5,000, 4,000, 4,000, 111. So that's a total of 15,000. And then we compared it with the initial investment. However, guys, from a financial perspective, okay, in the field of finance, hindi siya pwede. Okay, bakit hindi pwede? Kasi guys, it violates the principle of, balikan natin to, no? It violates the principle of the time value of money. Yan, TVM. Bakit, guys? Kasi ina-add natin sila, magkakaibang taon sila. Okay? 5,000, if you add 4,000 to 5,000, yung 4,000 yan, makukuha natin sa year 2 yan eh. Di ba? So pag in-add natin sa 5,000 yan, we're assuming that you're going to get that on year 1. Eh, but that's to be obtained at year 2. Eh, ganun din to, ano yung 1,000 na to. Bakit natin ina-add itong mga cash flows na to? So that's fundamentally wrong. So what do we do? Ang gagawin natin dapat dyan ganito, no? Year 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ang cash flow nito, negative 10,000. Ito, 5,000, 4,000, 4,000, 1,000, 1,000. For us to be able to add this, okay, and for us not to violate the time value of money, kailangan i-convert natin yung mga cash flow na yan. You can convert it all at year 3. Pwede yun. So, ibig sabihin nun, lahat ng cash flow, ilagay natin sa year 3. I-project natin sa year 3, or sa year 5, or sa year 1. But normally, what's being done is that we project it to the present time, year 0. So, ang tanong, magkano yung 10,000 na makukuha natin sa year 0 ngayon? So 10,000 din yan, no? Kasi yan ang time frame natin eh. Tapos ito, magkano yung 5,000 which we will obtain after 1 year? Now, magkano ngayon yan? So 5,000 will not be 5,000 now. Diba? Magkaiba yan, no? Because time has, money has cost. No? Ito year 2, magkano siya ngayon? Itong 4,000 which will be obtained in year 3, magkano siya ngayon? And that goes for the other cash flow also. Okay, so how much are those cash flows? No? Magkano si 5,000 which we will be receiving 1 year from now? Magkano siya ngayon? Magkano si 4,000 which we will be receiving 2 years from now? How much is it now? How much is 4,000 which we'll be getting at the end of 3 years? How much is it now? Okay? All right? So that's the answer, guys. No? Hindi pa pwedeng i-add lahat yan. Kasi magkakaibang time frame yan. Diba? You remember my question? Which would you prefer? 1 million now or 1 million after 1 year? And overwhelming, sabi nyo, 1 million after 1 year. After 1 million now, no? 1 million now, guys. Bakit? Kasi alam nyo na may cost ang pera. You could have put that in an investment. If you get it now, put it in an investment, and then it will earn, and the interest might earn on the interest, and then after 1 year, mas mataas na yung value niyan kaysa 1 million. Inom lang ako, guys, sandali. Okay. So, kaya mali, guys, yung sinasabi natin na okay yung investment kasi pag in-add natin to 15,000 and then in-net natin sa 10,000, the result is 5,000. Okay, if you did not learn finance, siguro mukhang acceptable to. Pero hindi, guys. To whom much is given, much is required, di ba? So, ibig sabihin, binigay na sa inyong itong principle na to, then you should be able to decide accordingly. No? Okay, so what do we do now? Pag lahat sila nasa time zero na, or as I mentioned a while ago, pwede rin lahat i-peg sa time 5 o year 4, year 3. It doesn't matter. Pero ang usual practice, kinukuha natin equivalent nila sa year 0. Which what we're doing with this one is getting their present values. And by the way, their present values, okay, ano yung formula ng present value? Siguro sa business math, natutunan nyo na the present value, sulat natin dito, is equal to the future value times the discount factor, 1 plus r raised to the negative t. Yan ang formula, no? To get the present value of an individual cash flow. Dali ano yung throat ko. Okay. Now, so ibig sabihin, guys, we can compute for the present value. Provided, kasi ano ba yung natin dito? Ano yung formula natin? Alam natin yung future value. Ito yung mga accounts, ito yung mga values na yun. Ito yung 10, 5, 4, 4, 4, 1, 1. No? How about R? Ano yung R? Alam din natin yung T. No? So this is T is equal to 0, T is equal to 1. Ito mga to, no? Okay. T is equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We know the T. What's R, guys? Any guess, guys? What will be R? Your R will be, yes, tingnan natin, may nag-chat. Okay, rate, revenue, no. Ano kaya yung R natin? Rate, i-clarify pa natin kung ano yung rate na yan. What will that be, guys? Ini-evaluate natin itong mga cash flows na to. Okay, based on what factor? It's D. Ano yung R na yan? Ano yung rate na yan? Okay, rate of return, okay. Hurdle rate, okay. Interest rate, okay. The answer, guys, is, thank you, Sophia, you're correct. It's the hurdle rate. No? It's the WACC, guys. Kasi di ba yun ang ginagamit natin na pang-evaluate ng returns ng isang company? Okay, so we need to have the WACC. Okay, sulat ko dito. The WACC. Let's assume that the WACC is 12%. Although kinu-compute, guys, yung WACC, no? I-assume lang natin for purposes of this discussion that we have already computed for the WACC, and the WACC is 12%. So we're going to use the WACC in this formula, guys. So each one of them will have their own present value. So itong 10,000 na to guys, it will still be 10,000. Kasi the present value of 10,000 which occurs at year 0 is also 10,000 kahit na i-implement pa natin yung formula na yan. It will be 10,000. The rest guys, it will be lower. So it will, 5,000, ang present value niya will be lower than 5,000. Ito lower than 4,000. Okay? So the further you get from the present value, okay, the lower will be your discounted value or your present value. Okay, kasi kung tinan nyo to guys, itong formula na to, this is also the same as, di ba, from your algebra, this is just the same as, sulat ko it's the same as FB divided by 1 plus R raised to the T. Okay, kasi negative yung exponent, so you can write it as a denominator. No? Okay, so habang lumalaki yung time guys, let's see what happens. If the time becomes bigger and bigger, what happens to your denominator? Your denominator becomes bigger and bigger. And therefore, your quotient, kasi fixed naman tong FB, ito na yan, 54411. Your quotient becomes smaller and smaller. So, which is your present value. So, kunyari ito guys, kunyari year 1,000 na yan. Kung i-compute natin yan, halos zero na yan. No? Halos zero na. So the further you are, guys, down your timeline, the smaller will be your present value. Okay, so kaya nga guys, pag masyado nang malayo yung cash flow, okay, so there's an implication to that, which we're going to discuss in a while. Okay, so how do we now decide? Okay, knowing that we have to get the present value, can we now add these values na to? So meron ng ito, may present value na, may present value na. Itong cash flows natin, may present value na. Ang present value ni 10,000 is also 10,000. So question, can we now add these figures? Guys, can we now add these figures? Answer is yes. Pwede na. Bakit? Kasi nasa equivalent time frames na sila eh. Lahat sila nasa year 0 na. So, pwede tayong mag-add ng cash flows, guys, pag nasa parehong time frame sila. Okay? So, if we add this, you get a result, no? Ang result dyan, ang tawag. Okay. You call the result, guys, you call it your NPV. NPV, which is your net present value. Okay. So let's suppose guys, inad natin to, no? Inad natin to mga present values na to. And we came up with the value, kunyari ang lumabas, example lang tayo, NPV, let's suppose its NPV is equal to 1,703. Okay, example lang guys, no? Okay, if, we have already computed for the net present value. So what would be our decision? Should we push through with the project or not? Paki-chat nga guys, kung yes or no. Everyone, please. Let's assume that the net present value turns out to be 1,703. Should we push through with the project? Everyone, please, paki-chat kung yes or no. Okay, sige, ganito mag-poll tayo mag-poll na lang tayo. Okay, let me, okay, sorry hindi ko nagawa kanina to, no? Okay, create ako ng panibagong poll. Okay, ito yung NPV is equal to 1,703. NPV. Okay. So, sige. Save ko to, tapos, okay guys, pakisagot nga. Sabi natin, NPV is 1703. Should you push through with the project based on the NPV value of 1703? Okay, thank you for answering guys. Okay, more pa, more. Kulang pa tayo ng mga 10 students who have not answered. I hope everybody answers. Okay, we'd like to see the feel of the class kung dapat ba i-push to yung project based on the result of NPV is equal to 103. Okay, 6 more students, guys. Let's have 10 more seconds. Okay, 5 more seconds, guys. 5 more students have not answered. Sana lahat, guys. Sana lahat mag-answer. Okay. 5 students were not able to answer. 5 students, I don't know where they are, lumabas or ano. Okay, and natin. No? Okay, so here's the summary of your answers. 19 said yes, 6 said no. Okay, may I ask any volunteer, anyone from those who said yes, and I'll ask also from those who said no. From those who said yes, any volunteer kung bakit yes ang naging answer nyo? Anyone would like to share yung thought process niya kung bakit niya sinabing yes? Ang net present value natin, 1703. Should the project be implemented? Should we push through with the sub-project? So 19 of you said yes. Any one of those 19 would like to volunteer? Anyone? How about dun sa no, guys? Okay, I hope there's a brave volunteer, guys, so that we can push through, move on to the discussion. Ano lang, share nyo lang kung anyone, kung bakit yes. Ano yung reason mo behind that? Okay. Sophia, sige lang, could you share your answer? Paki-unmute na lang. It's okay, huwag kayo mahihiyan ano nyo. I-validate naman natin, no? Sophia, can you share your answer, please?
Sir?
Yes, sige. Thank you, Sophia.
Sir, I'm not sure po, sir, sa answer ko, pero
It's
feeling
okay.
ko po na...
Hindi natin tinitingnan yung kung tama o mali yung answer nyo. Tinitingnan natin yung thought nyo at saka yung yung participation. Sige.
So, feeling ko po kasi, sir, na konti lang po yung bumalik sa akin. Tapos
Okay.
nag-invest po ako ng malaki.
Okay.
Kaya no po ako dun sa project.
All right. Thank you, Sophia. Thank you for being brave and sharing your answer. Please remind me you have +2 sa Kahoot points natin, ano? I'll give you +2 for sharing your answer. Okay, once in a while, guys, magbibigay ako ng ganyan, ha? Lalo na pag walang gustong sumagot, no? So alam nyo na, guys, pag walang gustong sumagot na kayo. Kasi remind mo lang ako, Sophia, no? So you have +2 dun sa Kahoot points. Okay, so ang sabi ni Sophia, no, kasi sabi niya, naliliitan siya sa value na 1703. Okay, now let's take a look again at our Excel spreadsheet, no? Okay, then I'll tell you what the decision should be. Okay, so the NPV is 1703. The decision rule here, guys, when we use net present value, is that, okay, when the net present value, if NPV is greater than 0, okay, accept the project. Okay, bakit? Kasi yung NPV, guys, you're talking already of the present values of your cash flows, no? Una-una, tama, cash flows ang ginagamit natin. Tapos tinitingnan natin, kung i-compare natin lahat ng mga cash flows at time 0, positive ba yan? Kasi kung positive yung net present value, then that means okay yung project. Okay? So the general rule is that if the net present value is greater than 0 or is positive, accept the project. If it's negative, then reject the project. Okay, my question. Yeah, okay. Yeah, ang maganda yung sinabi din ni Sophia, sabi niya parang mas maliit yung bumalik na pera. Okay? Actually, hindi, no? Hindi naman mas maliit yung bumalik na pera. Yung 1703 na yan, it already takes into consideration the time value of money. Okay? So pag kinonsider natin yung time value of money, pinoject na natin sila lahat sa present value, then valid na yung ano natin, valid yung analysis natin. Okay? Hindi magiging valid yan kung in-add lang natin ng basta-basta. Pwede nating i-add yung cash flows natin if they belong to the same time frame. And in this case, pag nag-analyze tayo ng, ng capital budgeting, what we do is the standard practice is to put all your cash flows into time 0 and get the net present value. And the decision rule is if the net present value is positive, accept the project. Now you might think, baka may ano ba, baka possible ba na gawin ng company na net present value, that may minimum value? Kunyari, sabi nila, ang policy nila, dapat ang net present value natin dapat hindi bababa ng, kunyari, 100,000. Is that possible? Well, it depends on the company, no? And there may be a reason why they're doing that, no? Baka sa kanila, hindi pa pwedeng katulad sa sinabi ni Sophia, baka maliit lang yung NPV for them. So, well, that now depends on the company. However, guys, the general principle is kapag net present value is positive, then okay yung ano. This is the theoretically correct way to assess net present value. Okay? So basta positive yan, okay yung project. If it's negative, then reject the project. Okay. So another thing, guys, yung ROI, no? So guys, we cannot consider ROI kasi inad natin to eh. Inad natin to. So mathematically tama. However, from a financial perspective, it violates the time value of money. Kasi paano natin nakuha yung 50%? Inad natin to. Di ba sabi natin hindi natin pwedeng i-add yan technically, no? Theoretically, mali. We cannot add them and come up with 15,000, tapos i-sum up ulit natin to, 5,000, and then get the ratio of 5,000 to 10,000, which is 50%. Okay? If we're not going to follow the principles of finance, yung time value of money, then tama siya. No? Kasi mas malaki nga naman yung 5,000. Pero, strictly speaking, guys, if we're going to be faithful to the principles that magkaiba yung pera eh. May cost ang pera. So, hindi natin siya pwedeng i-add na lang basta. No? Then, hindi ka tanggap-tanggap ng 50% na to. No? Okay, ganun din yung 5,000. Ganun din, guys, yung 2.5 years. Diba sabi natin? Kasi, ina-add natin dito yung mga cash flows on different time frames. Okay, so there's a way to get the payback period. We will do that when we go to the time value of money computations. Okay, but for now, guys, just be conscious na hindi natin pwedeng i-add to kasi they belong to different time frames and there's a cost of money. Okay, all right. May hindi nabanggit sa grupo niya, but in another section, they said na, okay, in another section, kinompute nila yung return ng project na to. You can actually compute for the return of this project. Okay, let me show you. We use the IRR function in Excel. Okay, there's a function. Ang tawag natin dyan, internal rate of return. Okay, gawin ko lang dark blue. Okay, IRR. Okay, so IRR is equal to, sa Excel, IRR yan. We can use the IRR function in Excel. And then ang values natin, guys, will be all the cash flows. Yan. All the cash flows, and ignore the guess. May specific instances lang na ginagamit natin yung guess. But let me explain that in the future na lang. Okay? So the IRR is 21, or if we increase the decimal place, it's 20.85. Okay. Another poll. Okay. I'm going to create another one. Okay, sorry, hindi ko nagawa kanina to, no?
Coach, wait lang po.
Yes.
Question po. Ano po
Sige.
ulit meaning ng IRR?
Sorry, internal rate of return.
Okay po, thank you po.
Okay, thank you. So this is your IRR. Sabi natin ang IRR natin is equal to 20.85, no? 20.85%. Okay, the question is, okay, should the investment be pursued? Okay, dali. Spell ko lang to. Pursued if IRR is equal to 20.85%. So it's a question, guys. So wala malaman kung ano yung opinion nyo about this. So, oops. Yes. Isa no. Save. Okay. So ano nga, guys? Answer. IRR. Okay. Kindly, please. Sorry, guys. That should be should, na? Should the investment be pursued? It's not walang T yun, na? Should the investment be pursued if IRR is 20.85? Okay. May nagtanong sa akin. Pero siguro, sige, Marion, I'll discuss that, no? I'll discuss that in a while. Pero pakisagot na muna. Okay, sige. Thank you. Tama yung tawa mo. Sige. Okay, may konti pa, guys. Come on, guys, para medyo maano yung ma-cover natin. 10 more seconds. 20 pala yung sumugot out of 29. I hope everyone answers, guys, no? Okay, may nag-no, Okay. All right. 5 more seconds. May 5 pang hindi nakakasagot. Okay, good. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we end the polling. 89% yung sumagot. That's good enough, guys. Sana lahat, no? Okay, so tingnan niyo yung results. Ang nagsabi ng yes, 24. Ang nagsabi ng no, 2. Okay, and then I'll cite, mamaya may nagtanong sa akin si Marion. Okay, so we'll discuss the question of Marion. Okay, so any volunteer, guys, nagsabi ng yes?
Me, sir.
Yan, tinan mo. Basta may bonus points, bigla.
Hindi po, sir. Genuine to.
Sige. Sino to?
Si Marion Mijares po.
Marion. Sige, Marion. Thank you, Marion. Sige, anong answer mo?
I say po, yes. Because the
Sige,
IRR or the internal rate of return is greater than the minimum required rate of return. Also known as the hurdle rate.
What's the minimum required return? What's the minimum required return?
Less than 20.85%.
Sinabi natin kanina, andyan, no?
50%.
50%?
12%.
Ayun.
Kasi WAC is yung hurdle rate.
Ayun. Okay, correct.
12% po. Alright.
Thank you.
Woo!
Yeah.
Okay.
Tama, Marion. Okay, you also get 2 points, Marion, ha?
Thank you, sir.
Sa Kahoot natin, idadagdag yung Kahoot 1, ha? Just remind me, so Sophia, Marion, please. Tama ba si Sophia kanina, no? Meron na ba? Sa Sophia pala, sa
Yes
kabilang.
po, sir.
Sige. Sige, pasensya na, nagsi-senior moments ako dito, nakakalimutan ko sa dami ng sections, no? Okay.
lang po.
Sige, thank you. So, Marian, you're correct. Tama. Tama yung answer ni Marian. And tama yung answer ng most of you guys sa poll natin. Flash ko lang ulit yung poll. Andun ba yun? Ano ko na ba? Okay. 92% said yes. And you're correct, no? May ibang sumagot ng no. Okay. But the answer, guys, is yung IRR, the return of the project, has to be compared with your hurdle rate. Naalala nyo, guys, yung financing decision, guys, yung financing principle, any project to be engaged in by the company has to have returns that exceed the risk-adjusted hurdle rate or the weighted average cost of capital. Yun ang answer. Since yung IRR is 20.85 and your WACC is only 12%, then it means, guys, that okay yung project natin. Okay? So may nag-comment dito kay si Venice. Okay, thank you, Venice. Tama ka. Mataas yung IRR sa hurdle rate. That's correct, no? You're correct, Venice. You're correct. Sabi ni Venice na mas mataas yung IRR kaysa sa hurdle rate, which is the WACC. Okay? So sabi naman ni Micah, alam ko may example din po kayong present before. Yes, okay. We also did that, di ba? Pero hindi lang natin binigyan ng masyadong yung quantitative example. Pero ito, guys, no? Quantitative example na to. So if the WACC is 12%, kailangan natin yung WACC para ma-compute natin yung present value, para ma-compute natin yung net present value, para ma-compute din natin yung IRR. So dito lumalabas that the IRR is 20.85. It's greater than the WACC of 12%. Then okay yung project. Then actually, guys, yung isa pa, yung NPV, no? Pwede din natin ma-compute yun if we know the WACC. No? Okay, so let's compute that. I'm going to show you how. But we'll have more about this. Talaga mapapractice natin to. Excel, guys. Kasi I'm sure sa business math nyo yata, hindi nyo naman ginamit yung Excel. Baka nag-calculator kayo doon. Mas matagal yun, no? So yung NPV function, ito yung mga parameters niya. Take a look at this. Rate. Ano yung rate na yun? Yung rate na yun, yung required return, yung IRR. Comma, values, yung mga values dito are the values that start, future values to, which means the value should start with year 1. Okay? Dito may explain ko na lang to in the future, no? Okay, tapos, since isasama pa dapat natin yung cash flow at year 0 kasi present value din to eh. So ang ginagawa ni Excel dito, i-convert niya na to, yung 54411, i-convert niya at present value. Okay, tapos babasahin niya to, yung 5,000 at year 1. Kaya dapat hindi natin isasali yung 10,000 kasi si 10,000 at year 0 na yan. But we're going to add it back kasi present values yung kino-compute nito. And answer there, guys, it's 1703. Yung kanina, no? 1703 yung present value. Yan. 1703.13. Okay, so based on NPV, no? Based on NPV, okay yung project kasi it's positive. It's greater than 0. No? Based on IRR, okay, it's okay because it's greater than the WACC. Okay, may another poll tayo, no? Suppose the IRR is 10%. Okay, I'm now looking at a hypothetical case. Let's assume that the IRR is not 20%, but it's rather it's 10% lang. NPV natin 1703, IRR natin 10%. Magpo-poll tayo ngayon, guys. Okay, stop share results natin dito. Mag-poll tayo. Okay, panibagong poll. Okay, create. So NPV is equal to 1703. IRR is equal to 10%. Question, proceed with the project. Okay, that's our question. So this is yes, and this is no. All right, so let's have another poll, no? Save. Okay, poll. And then ito. All right, launch natin. So ang question, dapat ba tayo mag-proceed with the project? NPV 1703, IRR 10% lang. Okay, sige, let's see. Okay, kalahati pala nakaka-answer, guys. I hope everybody answers. Let's give your classmates a few more seconds. This is interesting kasi medyo divided yung house, ano? Medyo split. Hindi naman 50-50. Okay. A few more votes, guys. Konti pa. A few more votes. Let's give a few more seconds. 80% lang yung palang nakakaboto. Gusto natin sana umabot ng 90%. Meron pa tayong 6 na students na hindi bumoboto. Okay, let's give them 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, so 90% nga nakaboto. Good. Ibig sabihin 3 lang hindi nakaboto. Let me end polling now and let me share the results. Ayan. So 20 in the class said no, we will not push through with the project. Okay, and only 7 said yes. Okay. Unahin ko nga tanungin kung bakit yung mga nagsabi ng yes, mali yata yun . Anyone who would like to volunteer to defend his wrong, quote-unquote wrong answer? Sino yung matapang dyan? Na i-defend niya yung... Sino? Sino to? Sige, sino to? Sorry?
Jody po.
Jody? Okay, sige. Why yes, Jody?
Kasi dahil positive pala sila parehas, hindi maganda.
Hindi, yung IRR natin 10% lang. O hindi siya umabot sa WACC. Di ba, ang sabi natin, dapat yung IRR, it should be greater than the hurdle rate, no?
Pero kasi sir, parang, okay lang po ba siya mag-google?
Go. Ba't nag-google ka? Sige, ano sinabi ni Google? Sige, go.
Parang, wait lang. Parang ano daw po, parang mas maganda yung, mas maganda daw po yung,
Yung?
hindi, yung IRR. Wait lang, sorry. Ang naisip ko po talaga parang double or what na parang since positive rin po yung end.
So, ano nakita mo sa Google? Mas maganda yung IRR.
Apa.
So, kung mas maganda yung IRR, dapat no tayo. Diba? Kasi based on IRR, based on IRR, mas mababa yung IRR natin, 10% lang. Yung IRR natin 10%, yung WACC natin 12%. Diba? If we're going to base it on IRR, then dapat no yung answer mo. Okay? But still, I'll give you 2 points for being brave and answering your question. Kahit, sino to? Again, sorry si senior moments ako. Nickname please, sorry?
Jody po.
Jody, yan. Thank you, Jody, for being courageous to share your answer. Actually, sabi nga ni Jody, mas maganda daw i-base sa IRR. Okay? Balikan natin, guys. Okay. Ang katotohanan niyan, guys, okay, Jaran, tama si Jody. Tama. Yes, guys, ang answer. Okay? Okay, so let me explain that. when the IRR and the NPV conflicts, okay? Okay, may chat sa akin dito. Actually, both naman, sabi ni Rian, pareho namang estimate yan, no? Bakit siya estimate? Kasi yung WACC estimated din yan. Yung mga cash flows estimated din yan. So all of these guys are quote-unquote educated estimates, no? So both IRR and NPV are both estimates. Kasi wala naman talaga tayong 100% surety na ganito talaga yung makukuhang cash flows. Lahat yan was born out, these values were born out of estimations, no? But Rian, you're correct, IRR is estimated, so is NPV. Estimated din yan. So, naku, grabe, nakalimutan ko kagad. Jody pala, Jody. Ayan, oo, baliktad. Oo, tama ka na eh. So, babawiin ko yung 2 points mo, ha? babawiin ko yung 2 points mo kasi ginto na nga, naging ano pa, naging wala pa. Joke lang. You still get 2 points. Okay? So, yung mga naka 2 points, i-remind nyo ako guys, ha? Remind nyo ako mamaya, isusulat ko kasi baka makalimutan ko. Okay, so Jody is correct, no? Although nalito dun siya dun sa explanation niya. Tama guys, dapat push through with the project. Kasi when the NPV and the IRR conflicts, always choose the NPV over the IRR. Why? Let me explain guys. When you compute for the IRR, may mga assumption dito na ginagamit, no? Hindi pa natin i-discuss ngayon in greater detail kasi doon yan sa time value of money, no? But when we compute for the internal rate of return, may mga assumptions tayo in computing for the IRR. And these assumptions are, sabihin natin, less correct compared to the assumptions used when we do NPV. So pag NPV ang ginagamit natin, mas theoretically correct siya compared to when we compute using IRR. Okay? So when these two conflicts, always choose the NPV. So our decision will be if IRR is 10%, NPV is 1703, based on IRR, reject, no? Based on NPV, accept the project. So the answer is accept the project, push through with the project. Okay, so yun ang answer. In fact, guys, later on, we're going to learn that there's another one called MIRR, no? There's another measure called MIRR, Modified Internal Rate of Return. And the modified internal rate of return is let's say, more correct than the IRR. Kaya nga, so MIRR will always agree with NPV, no? Laging ano. But generally naman guys, generally NPV and IRR will produce the same results. Only in the case when they differ, they contradict, then we have to follow NPV. So ang sagot natin dito, dapat push through with the project based on the NPV result, which is greater than 0. Okay? Clear yan guys? Clear? Paki-chat nga please kung naintindihan yung explanation natin. I would appreciate you giving me feedback kung okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, good. Good. Okay, salamat. Okay, salamat. Okay, appreciate guys yung mga pag nag-feedback kayo sa akin. Okay, wala nang feedback. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you. May humabol pa. Alright? So, request ko lang sana guys, pag nagtatanong ako ng ganun, nare-reinforce kasi ako pag if I'm informed that you're getting the explanation. Very important sa akin yan. No? Alright, meron pa dito isang question na lang, no? I think most of this nasagutan natin. So how do you evaluate the project? It should be based on NPV or IRR. Dapat cash flows. Hindi natin pwede i-add yung cash flows, no? Kailangan we have to consider the time value of money. The timing of the cash flows is important. Okay, decreasing. Babalikan ko yung question nyo guys, ha? Babalikan ko yung tinanong ko dati. Anong mas gusto nyo? 1 million after 1 year or 1 million after 5 years? Paki-chat nga kung ano mas gusto niyo, 1 million after one year or 1 million after 5 years. Okay. I'm sure all of you will agree with me na mas maganda yung 1 million after 1 year. Kasi pag nakuha natin after 1 year yan, magagamit natin and we can have it rolled over and invest it para mag-earn yung interest. No? Tapos yung interest, mag-earn pa ng interest. Kaysa 5 years pa natin hihintayin. Okay. Ganun din dito, guys. Okay, let's assume guys na, class na, assuming 15,000 din, 15,000. We will reverse the cash flow. Reverse natin to. 1,000, 1,000, okay, 4,000, and then 4,000, and then 5,000. Okay, sorry, nagbago to kasi sinam natin, dapat D3 lang at saka okay, baguhin ko lang to, D3, D9. Okay, so kanina 5,000, no? Now, what happens, guys, if, sabi nyo kasi, pangit yung decreasing. What if it's increasing? Ito. What if the cash flow is increasing? Kasi you said that medyo hindi maganda kasi decreasing yung cash flow. Okay, what do you say of this? Mas maganda ba yan? Based on your answer a while ago, na mas gusto nyo na mas mauuna yung large cash flow, tinan ito 1,000, 5,000 at year 1. Yung 5,000 yan sa year dito, sa proposal B, 5,000 on year 5 na yan. So sino mas maganda, guys? Itong cash flow na to o itong cash flow na to? The sooner you get the bigger cash flow, the better. Assuming na pareho lang silang pareho lang silang 15,000 yung total natin. Okay, so it's not necessarily true that kapag decreasing yung cash flow, pangit siya, no? Yes, Venice? May question ka?
Ay, wala po, sir. I just wanted to add up to your point po kanina.
Sige.
Kasi
Please do so. Sige.
Opo. The earlier po kasi na you get the return, mas mabilis pong mapapaikot na lang yung return kaysa dun sa capital.
Yes,
Ayun.
exactly. Tama. Very good, Venice. Thank you so much for that. Tama si Venice, no? Na kapag parang kanina example natin, yung 1 million after 1 year versus 1 million after 5 years. Definitely, the sooner we get the bigger cash flow, the better. Okay, in fact, I'll prove to you guys, I'll prove to you. I-compute natin yung, i-compute natin guys yung, okay. So 12% din yung WACC natin. Compute natin yung IRR nito. IRR. Okay, kung ganito yung cash flow natin, values, close, ano IRR niya? Tingnan nyo guys. The IRR is only, di ba? Mas mababa yung IRR. Okay, di ba? In fact, 11.74 na lang. In fact, reject tong project na to guys. Kung ganyan yung cash flow natin, if our cash flow is this, increasing 11445. Reject yung ano yan kasi ang IRR natin 11.74 hindi umabot dun sa 12%. Let's check the NPV is equal to NPV. Okay, ang rate natin 12%, comma. Ang values natin starting with year 1, yan, and then close and then plus yung negative na year 0. Enter. Tingnan nyo guys. Copy natin yung format nito. Look. Anong say natin? The NPV of this cash flows is negative 83.62. Diba? Ang NPV nito, positive. Tapos ang IRR nito, 11.74 lang. So if this was your cash flows, increasing over time, wala, reject yung project na yan. Ito, decreasing over time. So careful tayo sa reason na ganun, no? Ang assumption natin ganito, guys, pareho yung initial investment, pareho yung total cash flows, no? If we add it mathematically. It's best that the bigger cash flows be obtained dun sa unang earlier years. Okay? It's better to get it in the earlier years. Kasi nga, may effect yung present values nito eh. The further you are, guys, from your present value, okay, the bigger will be the effect on the discount factor. Mas liliit talaga yung present values nito. Ito na-load natin yung 5,000 sa earlier pa. No? Okay, kaya nga guys, in any investment, mas gusto natin na yung bigger cash flows should be at the start of the investment. Okay? Clear yung guys, yung decreasing cash flow na yan. Sana kuha natin, no? 1 million after 1 year. Yeah, correct. Sabi ni Sophia, lugi, no? Lugi, hindi natin, di ba, hindi natin na-notice. Akala natin, ay, mas maganda kung increasing over time. Remember that the timing of the cash flow is important. And mas maganda, kung investor tayo, mas maganda nakukuha natin yung cash flow at the onset, yung mas malaking cash flow. Okay, so I have only around 8 minutes to discuss this. So, yung natitira nating slides. Okay, dali ha. Okay, by way of review guys, sabi natin yung fundamental principles ng finance, investment, financing, dividend. I hope I don't sound like a broken parrot, no? Investment decision, ang sinasabi niyan, kung mag-i-investment tayo, cash flows, dapat yung return niyan should be greater than the hurdle rate, greater than the weighted average cost of capital. In fact, we looked at two methods, NPV and IRR. Yung IRR is the return of the project, and it should be greater than the hurdle rate, risk-adjusted hurdle rate. Okay? And also, the NPV should be positive. Pag nagko-conflict si NPV at saka si IRR, NPV should be used. Or NPV and MIRR. Kasi si MIRR, Modified Internal Rate of Return, it will give values consistent with the NPV. Financing, guys, importante na alam natin yung optimal capital structure. Okay? So it's important that finance computes for that. And ito yung gagamitan to evaluate projects. Okay? And last, the dividend decision. The role of finance is to determine kung magbibigay ba ng dividends, kung magbibigay ilang percent. No? So that's a very important role kasi dividends play a major role in increasing shareholder value. A good dividend decision policy is a reflection that the company is performing well. Kaya yung mga blue chip companies, yung mga well-established companies, matatagal na tapos magaganda yung operating performance sila. Ang tawag sa kanila, blue chip companies, they always issue dividends. No? Lagi silang i-issue ng dividends kasi alam nila, it's a good finance, ibig sabihin, magaling yung finance nila kapag ginagawa yung ganun. Alright? So let's go to the next one quickly kasi ito yung corollary principles natin which are also important. Kaya ang pinaka-main, yung fundamental principles lang natin yung investment, financing, at saka dividend. Yung corollary principles natin, nakuha na natin to. Okay? Number one, cash flow is king. So alam natin, dapat pag nag-evaluate tayo ng projects, hindi net income ang ginagamit, cash flow. Tapos importante yung timing of the cash flow kasi because of the time value of money. No? Okay, so 1 peso today is not the same as 1 peso after 1 year. Money has cost. And also the principle of risk and return. The higher the assumed risk, the higher is the required return. Okay, kunyari, yung kanina A and B, if both companies issued 7% bonds, wala mag-i-invest kay B. Kasi mas risky siya, tapos pareho lang yung, yung interest rate, hindi compensated yung investor. Bakit tayo mag-i-invest kay B? Andito si Ayo, siguradong sigurado, okay? Very secure tayo, tapos pareho lang yung interest rate, it's kay ano na tayo, kay A na tayo. Okay? So from the perspective of the borrower, yung mag-i-issue ng bonds, dapat alam niya yan, yung principle ng risk and return. Okay, market forces. Ano yung market forces? Meron tayong tinatawag na EMH, Efficient Market Hypothesis. Ano itong Efficient Market Hypothesis? If you look at the stock market, tapos yung price doon, nakalagay ko niya, price ni San Miguel, 50 pesos. Yung price na yan already reflects all the relevant information about San Miguel. Okay, bakit ganun? Na mayroon tayong tinatawag na EMH, market should be efficient. One way to be efficient is that information should be transparent. Information should be given to all the stakeholders. Kunyari, Jollibee, nung in-acquire nyo si Red Ribbon, na ano muna yan, na broadcast yan. When that was broadcasted, so this information was given to everybody. So ngayon, all the investors, all the stakeholders there in the stock market has now this information. And alam natin na information is key, K-E-Y. Information is vital for decision making. Okay? So if armed with this information, alam na ng investors kung bibili siya ng Jollibee o hindi. Okay? Kung hindi binibigay yung information na yan, if it's only given to a few people, so meron tayong tinatawag na insider trading, yung mga privilege lang nagkakaroon ng ganung information, magko-collapse yung market. Because people will not trust that market. May ano pala dyan, may nepotism pala dyan sa market na yan. Hindi na ako mag-invest sa stock market na yan. Kasi may mga shenanigans pala dyan, may mga hindi inaano na information, tapos iba lang nakakakuha. So markets, it's important for markets to be efficient. In other words, information is given to everybody, no? Para makakapag-decide sila kung mag-i-invest sila o hindi. So that's a very important aspect of finance, no? Efficient market. So I encourage you to read on this. The efficient market hypothesis, marami sa internet yan. Merong strong, may semi-strong, at saka may weak efficient markets, no? Okay, lastly guys is the agency problem. Alam na natin to. Kasi ngayon, professional managers yung nagpaparun ng business. So it's possible for them to take actions that are inimical to the shareholders. In the US, naging uso to noong 1990s, where you have CEOs giving themselves fat bonuses. Pero hindi kumikita yung company. So makikita mo, grabe yung mga mansions nila. Meron silang mga jets provided by the company, tapos yung pating fuel company nagpo-provide. And yet they were not performing. So where's the justice there? Di ba? Para saan na lang yun, yung mga perks na yun. Okay, so kaya nga importante yung corporate governance, no? Importante yung good governance where the board of directors now play a pivotal role, important role in checking the shareholders, in checking yung agency conflict na to, no? Agency principle na to. Yes, Sophia, yung Enron scandal. Now, you're supposed to view this. Kaso nga lang guys, medyo hesitant ako kasi dun sa movie may portion dun na medyo sabihin natin na for adults, no? So I'm still hindi pa ako makapag-decide kung sabagay 1 minute lang naman yun kaya nga dapat siguro may parental guidance. Pero kung 18 na kayo, hindi ko alam yung age nyo no? Kaya nga medyo nag-hesitate pa ako. Pero sasabihin ko na lang siguro yung minutes kung saan yun. Siguro 1 minute lang yun na medyo nagpakita ng skin. Contextual naman kasi yung pinakita yun kasi yung isang officer ng Enron, he would go to mga prostitution houses. So medyo napakita yun yung a few 1 minute na eksena na yun. So medyo nag-iisip ako kung ipapaano ko pa yung movie niyon. Anyway, I'll tell you about my decision. Hala, time na guys, time na. So, may I have 1 last minute guys? Okay lang ba? 1 to 2 minutes. Sorry it's already 2:16. Do I have your permission guys? Just 2 minutes lang. Yeah, The Wolf of Wall Street then. Ang film is The Smartest Room in the Room, no? The smartest guys in the room, yung sa Enron. Okay. So, thank you for the 2 minutes extension. Okay. So, cash is king. Alam natin yan. Sabi natin, bigger is better, guys. Bigger cash flow, better. Sooner is better din. Okay? And then, mas maganda kung makuha natin 10 million in year 2 kaysa 10 million in year 10. No? And less risk is better. If you're in an industry where it's very risky, kasi yung cash flow siyan, estimated lang yan, guys. Now, possible kapag nasa industriya ka na very risky, bago o emerging, o tapos hindi stable yung yung estimate natin ng cash flows. So mas maganda, mas less risky guys kung nasa industry ka na na stable na. And cash flows that are exposed to less risk is better. Okay? So yun ang sinasabi niyan. Again, cash flow is what matters. Net income is not the same as cash flow. Okay? Cash flows drives the value of business. Then incremental cash flows, ang sinasabi lang yan, kunyari sa year 5, meron kang outflow na 5,000, meron kang inflow na 8,000. Ang relevant lang dyan, yung 3,000. Kasi inineto lang natin yan. So yung mga cash flow na binigay ko kanina, mga incremental cash flow yan. Kasi siyempre, merong cash flow sa year 5, for example, na negative. So nininet lang natin yun dun sa positive. That's why we only have one value. Okay, so incremental cash flow yun. Time value of money, alam na natin to, 1 peso today, better than 1 peso in the future. Okay, risk and return, okay, sabi natin na sa rational investors, hindi sila papayag na mag-a-assume sila ng additional risk without them being compensated for that. And ito guys, yung efficient market hypothesis, ang sinasabi dito, na yung prices ng traded assets, stocks and bonds sa market, it already fully reflects all available information about the asset. So there should be transparency, okay? There should be disclosure. Kaya nga guys, that's the reason why I want to choose companies that are listed in the Philippine Stock Exchange. Kasi doon, when you visit PSE website, makikita nyo doon mga announcements ng mga companies niyan. Required sila by PSE to disclose. Otherwise, i-delete yan, tatanggalin sila sa PSE. Okay? Stock price are a useful indicator. Okay, may binabanggit ako dito guys, fundamental analysis at saka technical analysis. May I request you to look into this? Okay, so quickly, I'll just share marami namang site to guys, no? But could you kindly read on this? Ano lang, hindi naman ako nire-require ng assignment, pero for you to be knowledgeable also about the two types of analysis ng stock price. You have fundamental and technical. So kindly read on that. Okay, so let me just go to the last few slides very quickly, guys. So corporate finance is common sense, no? Common sense naman na ang project natin, ang returns natin, dapat mas mataas sa WACC, di ba? Kasi kung yung returns mo lower than WACC, then you're not creating value. Common sense lang din, guys, na kung makakakuha tayo ng financing mix na 12% kaysa 13%, mas maganda yung financing mix na 12%. Lower cost of capital. Common sense din, guys, na pag walang masyadong business opportunities, yung iba na cash ibigay sa shareholders, no? Dividends. Okay, also, hindi lang siya common sense, focused siya. Corporate finance is focused. Bakit focused? Kasi you look at the right investment decision, the right mix of debt, the right amount of cash that should be returned in the form of dividends. Focus siya kasi ang focus natin, maximization of shareholder value. Lastly, guys, universal siya. Ano ibig sabihin ng universal? Maliit ka man na company, malaki, public, private, international, local, etc. Matured market, emerging market, kailangan pa rin ng mga fundamental principles ng investment, financing, and dividend. Walang ligtas dyan sa principles yan, guys. Okay? So this, the last two slides, alam na natin yan. Okay? And the last slide, guys, may invite you just to read on VUCA, yung volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And then, pakibasa lang din, guys, yung VUCA 2.0. So balikan na lang natin to next meeting, pero I would that you do some readings on this. Ito na kasi yung business environment ngayon. Yung volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous yung business environment. Tapos sinabi nila, ang antidote dyan is VUCA 2.0. Okay, so I hope you read up on VUCA 2.0 also. Okay, so with that, guys, thank you so much. Sorry for the extended time. I'd like to apologize for that. I hope we learned something today, and maraming salamat, guys. Take care, and ingat tayong lahat. Okay? God bless, guys.
Thank you po.
God
Thank
bless
you.
po.